This lecture is dedicated to the circulation of money in the air transport distribution process. It mainly focuses on regular passenger airlines. The so-called low-cost carriers use more direct circuits to collect their revenues and are not really able to use the traditional airlines' distribution network. The circulation of money for charter companies and freight companies is also different. Before beginning this lecture, it is necessary to understand that air transport operates with the same rules in each country, and the airlines exchange revenues among one another. This is called interline. Once you're aware that there are approximately 900 regular airlines and 120,000 travel agents spread over 200 countries, handling nearly 100 different currencies, you'll understand why the circulation of money within the distribution process is complex. Finally, it should be borne in mind that within the airlines, few executive members are perfectly familiar with these mechanisms, and if they don't know where their revenue money comes from and how it circulates, they're not able to take the right commercial decisions and therefore run the risk of losing money. But enough of these general observations. Let's move on to the core of the subject. Before talking about money, you have to understand how the air transport product is delivered to the customer. The question which follows is, how does the amount paid make its way to the right place? That is why we have to answer these two basic questions. How does the air transport product reach the customer? In other words, how does the customer buy a seat on the right plane to go to the right destination at the right time? The second question is, how does the money paid by the customer reach the airline in good time? This question seems simple, but it isn't really. In the number of situations, the money follows a rather unorthodox path, and this may have serious consequences on the budget of the carrier in question. There are three perfectly identified distribution circuits. The first one is the booking circuit. In other words, how the customer reserves a place on the flight of his choosing. The second one is the purchase circuit. The booking is generally made without charge. One then has to transform this booking into a contract of carriage materialized by a ticket and therefore a payment. Finally, the third circuit is the transport circuit, which concludes the process. The customer actually travels and the carrier is paid. Let us start in the beginning. How does the customer reach an airline's product, and how can an airline reach its customers? To reserve a seat and buy a ticket in order to go to his destination, a customer has two options: contact an airline, or else contact an approved travel agent. Now, he can reach them via various channels over the internet, by telephone, by mobile app, email, etc. Many countries require a travel agent to hold a license, attesting to their technical capabilities and their financial solvency. Indeed, protecting the customer is a constant consideration for these states. Before buying a ticket, it is first necessary to check that there is a place available on board. That's why the first stage before buying is to make a reservation on a specific flight. Let us now consider the first distribution circuit, the booking circuit. Each airline has an inventory system in which all the information concerning its schedule of flights, the use of its planes, and the commercial configuration of its aircraft's cabins is recorded. It is in this inventory system that all reservations are recorded, no matter what means are used to make them. This system is called HOST, or CRS, Computer Reservation System. Numerous CRSs appeared in the 70s with the possibility offered by the increasing power of commercial calculators. At that time, each airline wanted to develop its own CRS. Alpha 3 for Air France, BABS for British Airways, START for Lufthansa, Panamac for Pan Am. All in all, there were more than 200 different CRSs. Some airlines used another airline's CRS. For example, Binter Canaries used Iberia's one, which was called Reciber. Tunisair used Air France's Alpha 3 system. Until the American Deregulation Act of 1978, all of the airlines had connected their CRSs with travel agents in their respective countries. Each CRS was accessible without charge, with reciprocity to the other airlines, but this access wasn't neutral. Priority was only given to carriers that had installed their CRS. When deregulation appeared in the United States, then progressively throughout the world, without even getting into the open skies agreements, the need for a neutral tool became evident. That's why the Global Distribution System, or GDSs, were created. However, use of a GDS is not free, around $5 to $6 per segment. This is therefore an enormous market for the GDSs. The large airlines therefore created their GDS. Air France, Lufthansa, Iberia, and Continental created Amadeus. British Airways, Alitalia, Swissair, and United created Galileo. American Airlines created Sabre. Northwest Airlines and Delta created WorldSpan. Some carriers in Asia developed Abacus. Some GDSs have been developed in a single country, such as Gemini in Canada, Access in Japan, or Travel Sky in China. After several successful years, the GDSs have developed highly performing inventory systems, and airlines have transformed their inventory into the large GDSs. The GDS founders have gradually sold their shares on the market or to investment funds. Some GDSs have also merged in order to consolidate. The landscape today is as follows. 3 major players: Sabre, Travelport, which itself arose out of the merger of Galileo and WorldSpan, and Amadeus. Some large operators, Travel Sky in China and Abacus for South and East Asia. Some national operators, Gemini for Canada, Access for Japan, and Serena for Russia and former CIS countries. Look carefully at this diagram. In the upper part, there are each carrier's inventory system, whether they are managed by a GDS or by any other means. These inventory systems are connected to each GDS. The GDSs are installed in the travel agent's offices. Each travel agent normally has just one GDS. If an inventory system is not connected to a GDS, the airline cannot be distributed by the travel agents which are equipped with that GDS. There are several types of contracts between the airlines and the GDSs. At a basic level, the contract is based only on a variable billing mechanism, no reservation, no payment. That is why there is no reason for an airline not to be connected to each of the 5 major GDSs. To summarize the booking circuit, the customer can directly contact the airline of his choosing by any available means. The airline will connect directly to its own inventory to reserve the ticket. Or the customer can contact a travel agent. The travel agent creates the customer's query in its GDS. The GDS transmits the query to the airline's inventory system, which processes it in real time.